Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the MedResults Network 2017 Educational Webinar Series. I'm Jamie Parrott, Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for MedResults Network, and I want to thank everybody for taking time to join us for today's presentation. This is our 41st webinar since we began our educational webinar series, and we're really thankful to welcome back our key marketing partner and today's guest from Turbo Medical Marketing. Before we get to our presentation, I want to take a minute or two just to do a quick recap of the year. I feel like it's flown by, so I want to let you all know about some exciting upcoming changes as well. You may remember that at the beginning of the year, we actually announced several new partnerships and new benefits for our membership, and those included Digital Media Nation, which is a reputation marketing agency, Build My Bod Health, founded by Dr. Kaplan. It's a marketing and sales platform to provide price transparency and of course a way for your patients to purchase your services online. Lending USA, which is a patient financing company that offers no-cost patient financing to our aesthetic providers, and of course the Vive, which is a women's health company providing a very effective single-session treatment for vaginal laxity and female sexual dysfunction. So we're really excited that we introduced those 4 partners this year. And in the next 30 days, we're actually going to be rolling out a national med-mal insurance program and an employee benefits program for our members. So please keep an eye on your regular announcements for these 2 partnerships and a few others that are going to be coming down the line in the next 60 days. Next, I want to let everybody know that we sent out our annual survey response packages to all of our members who participated in our annual Matchmaker survey this year. This was absolutely a massive undertaking, as each package was customized based on our members' responses, but we were really thrilled to learn some interesting facts about what our members want from the network and of course how we can improve what we do to better support you guys. So thank you again to everyone who participated. Finally, one more exciting announcement before I dive into the introduction today to the presentation. MedResults is moving, and as you all know, MedResults was founded in Huntington Beach, California in 2008, and we've been here for the last 9 years. But in less than a month, I'm going to be relocating to the great city of Nashville, and MedResults will be moving shortly thereafter. So we plan to open an office in Nashville in the next few months, and as I'll be making the move cross-country on the road, I encourage you to reach out to me, as I'd love to meet some of our vendors and partners and members during my cross-country trip this May. So I think it's about time to get on to the presentation. I'm thrilled to welcome our presenters, 2 experts from Turbo Medical Marketing, Matt Arndt and Clayton Joyner. Matt is actually the founder of Turbo Medical Marketing and the author of Building Your Aesthetic Practice Through Social Media. Clay is Matt's right-hand man and the Chief Growth Officer for Turbo. And today, Matt and Clay are going to spend the next 40 minutes giving you all a high-level overview of some of the things that you can do to make your digital marketing much more effective in attracting new patients to your practice. So in the essence of time, I'm going to let each of them give you a little introduction about themselves and the company. I want to remind you that because you're in attendance today, you'll each receive a complimentary copy of Matt's book. However, to get your book, you'll need to fill out our automatic survey that's going to pop up directly following the close of the presentation. And it's important you do this so that you can fill out the address where you'd like us to ship your complimentary book. Also, if you have a question for Matt or Clay, or you simply want more information about today's presentation, you can use the survey to connect with both of them. So with that said, I'd like to introduce our special guests, Matt and Clay of Turbo Medical Marketing.
Thank you so much, Jamie. This is Matt, and Clay, you want to say hi? Clayton, you there?
I was on mute, and I'm sorry for that. I was trying to make sure you didn't get any background noise. How are you doing, team?
We're doing great. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. We have a lot of great content to cover today. I want to welcome everybody, and we're very excited to share a lot of good stuff with you today. So let's just kind of jump right in. This presentation is all about using digital marketing to generate new patients for your practice. And this is really what we specialize at Turbo Medical Marketing. We've made it our point to specialize specifically in aesthetics, and basically Turbo Medical Marketing is a patient generation agency. So you're not going to see us doing a whole lot of branding. You're going to see us creating the platforms and driving the new patients into your practice. As I mentioned, as Jamie mentioned, I'm the author of Building Your Aesthetic Practice Through Social Media, and Clay has joined me in the past 18 months or so to really help take Turbo to the next level. Just a little bit about Turbo Medical Marketing. We are a recommended agency partner of RealSelf, and as I mentioned, we only market aesthetic practices. So no lawyers, no other small businesses, just aesthetic practices. We're also a Google certified partner in AdWords and analytics, and we've worked with hundreds of practice partners across the US, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and even Singapore. We are located in Orange County, California, and Charleston, South Carolina, and Clay actually works remotely out of Huntsville, Alabama. And Clay, do you want to kind of introduce the exec team?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've met Matt. You've now met me. And just to give you some background on myself, I come from 22 years now of marketing and sales background. I've got a computer information systems degree, MIT cert, and negotiation process, and then my whole specialty is really driven around customer experience design. How do we make sure that we optimize conversion rates and things so that when we do drive traffic to any asset that we have on the web that we've created for you, that we get maximum penetration so that we can increase the number of consults that you get on a daily and monthly basis, obviously with the goal of driving revenue. We also have Tom Sullivan, who's in Charleston. Tom isn't on the call today because he's busy working. He runs the bullpen. So all the our entire production team is located out of Charleston, South Carolina. We have amazing staff. Tom has done an excellent job founding that division of our company. Has a huge background in analytics and strategy. So he helps to mastermind the strategy, training, and development of all our new account managers as they come on board to make sure that we can produce excellent results for you guys. We also have Chris Moore, our Chief Marketing Officer. He helps us with marketing Turbo. His background is massive. He's actually a best-selling author in Facebook marketing. He's also a videographer and does animated video design, and he's a media buyer specialist that focuses on highly converting media strategies in digital marketing, which is really cool. So that's our executive team. These are the guys that put our heads together to help try and make sure that we have the maximum strategy to get results for you and your practices nationwide. One fun fact, Chris Moore is actually a ninja, literally. He made it to Vegas or to finals in Atlanta last year on American Ninja Warrior. So I don't know if you have any Ninja Warrior fans out there, but you do have an actual ninja on the team here at Turbo. We use that hard work he took to get as far as he did on the show, and we apply that to business every single day. So if there's any other cool factor out there, then I don't know how you beat being a ninja. So that's really cool. So what do we got next, Matt?
So here's what we're just going to kind of cover what we're going to go over today. And as Jamie said, she's only given us 40 minutes and we have a lot to cover. So let me just give you the broad summary of what we're doing today. So first we're going to talk about, Clay's going to teach about how marketing is changing to digital. Then we're going to kind of review the patient buying cycle. And the reason it's so important to cover this is because if you don't understand the patient buying cycle, then you don't know what you need to do at each stage in order to market to them properly. And I'm going to just kind of start just by giving you my definition of marketing, because I think that if you understand how we view marketing as an agency, then you'll know how to better work with us in the future. So to us, marketing is the building of a relationship with a potential patient or client until they are ready to entertain a sales situation. So marketing is not sales. Marketing is generating that interest in that relationship so that you can get them into a sales situation. And then now that we've covered that, we want to get into the 3 elements of digital marketing success and how each of these categories has different tactics that you can use within them. So acquisition, conversion, and retention. And Clay is going to obviously help to cover that as well. And then we're going to kind of talk about what you can outsource and what you should be really doing in-house at your practice. All right, Clay, why don't you take it away and talk about how this has been shifting to digital?
Absolutely. So the aesthetic industry as a whole is a very interesting business. It's actually, I've marketed for hundreds of industry types over my career, and I would say that aesthetic is probably one of the most unique markets to do marketing for. What makes it especially unique, in my opinion, is there's really a generational lag in how media is received by the consumer. Okay, so for a long time now, we've been able to use direct mail, networking, television, radio, your traditional magazines and billboards, your word of mouth as your we call that the ground game, right? That's how you go and drive business into the practices. Well, now we've seen that there's been a transition over the last 10, 20 years away from the traditional forms of marketing, and they're starting to morph, even though the strategies behind them are very similar and the same. The actual technology used to deliver that message is very different. What we're seeing though, and I'll address that lag indicator, what I said a minute ago, and why that's important now, the direct mail. Not that it can't be effective, but there was a point in time where if you can get a 10% return on direct mail, you were doing great. Then that turned into, well, we can only expect a 3% return on direct mail. Now it's turning into, if you get a 0.03% on direct mail, you're doing fantastic, right? So that means that you have to just continue to spend more, and then we call that a shotgun approach versus a sniper. You're flooding, and you're bound to hit it if you got a big enough circle that you're aiming at, right? Whereas now that direct mail strategy is now morphing into email. We expect more from our email than we do from our mailbox. Matter of fact, if you're like me, I'm almost nervous to even check my mailbox. It's usually a bunch of coupons or things that look official, but when you open them up, you find out they're not really what you thought they were. You're getting spammed, I guess, in the mailbox. Networking, social media. Now, we're basically, I wouldn't say replaced, but it has become a more effective platform for networking your business. Television, advertisement. If you look at the ratings, you got the cord cutters that are now going out and stopping their television subscriptions in exchange for Hulu and Netflix and these other different online streaming opportunities. YouTube obviously being huge in that arena. So advertising, though still effective, and again, that applies more to the lag element that I'll mention right after we get to the seventh piece here, but that strategy now is starting to shift online. So if you're going to see an advertisement, you're much more likely to reach a more targeted audience at the exact right time by going into some of your more YouTube's, Netflix, Facebook video advertising than you would be on television, which is really interesting. Radio, podcasts are becoming extremely popular. In the aesthetic industry, depending on what kind of practice you're running, you may or may not be able to gain influence on podcasts, but radio advertisement is now starting to, we're seeing that shift over, and people are listening to podcasts, they're listening to streaming music, and then the advertisements they hear there are usually how you're getting in front of your audience now on a consistent basis, as opposed to hoping that they are in their car at the right time that your ad plays on the radio. Okay, newspapers, same thing. Blogs are now taking over as authority for information sites. Articles are now being written. Anybody can become a publicist as long as they launch a website and have WordPress, right? So people are being trained now to go to the web for their information instead of opening up the front page of the newspaper. We're leading through that. Billboards are the same way. Your website is your billboard for your business digitally. Billboards are obviously limited proximity. Your website is the same thing. You have to make sure that you can be found. That's where SEO drives deep into that. And of course, your word of mouth referrals, online reviews are powerful. Most of us have bought something at some point in our life, and probably often because you've heard someone that you respect and that you know and you trust has said that it's a good decision, right? They believe in the product, and this is why they liked it, this is why they bought it, this is why they had a great experience, right? Well, now the online reviews are heavily involved in that. If you go to Amazon or to any online store, what are one of the first things you do? You go straight to the reviews. How many stars does it have? What are the people's feedback? Why do they like it? And so now we're seeing that the digital transition is really taking over almost every element of your traditional marketing plans from the past. And most of you, if you're spending money in those traditional channels, you're probably seeing that same dollar doesn't go quite as far. And this is why. And I did mention the lag indicator. Here's what we're seeing. And we see that we talk to practices quite a bit who say, well, I'm a plastic surgery office. I went from doing more breast augs, tummy tucks, to now my audience, my client base is getting older. Now we're getting into more facial alteration and things like that. Well, you're seeing that the older generation that are looking for modifications themselves, more mature generation, if you will, they are still responding to media outlets that they're used to. So some doctors get a false sense of security thinking, well, I'm doing direct mail and that seems to be doing okay, or I'm doing on the radio or television advertisement, those are doing okay. But you're going to find that within the next 10 or 15 years, you're going to see drop-off, massive drop-off. And the people that are going to be looking for procedures or body augmentation, they're going to be coming from a younger crowd who's more used to the new digital era. And you have to be prepared now, not 15 years from now when it's too late, to get in front of the right people in the right channels in the way that they're used to communicating. So that leads us to so what's our strategy? You know, marketing it can be a very vague and abstract concept. In this case here, what we look at is the patient buying cycle, and that's really important, as Matt mentioned before, to identify that on the front end so that you can be very intentional with what you do to market and then how you deploy it and then what that message says, right? So let's talk through how does a patient even show up for the consult. It starts with a pain point. There's something that they're not happy with, right? So they want to improve something. It's either aesthetic, they want to look better, they want to feel better, or it's literally something that's bothering them, or it's a medical condition that they were born with, they want fixed. But the pain point then becomes so strong, right, that they become eventually aware that there's a solution. Because have you ever bought a car? You've never driven a blue car before in your life, or a red car in your life, and then you go out and you buy that car, or you're about to buy it, and then suddenly you see red cars all over the place, right? That's your reticular activating system that makes you aware of that. When your pain point becomes so strong that RAS becomes active, suddenly they start being more aware of other people with the same problem. Then what they'll usually do is they'll zone into somebody or an advertisement or some kind of piece that will show them that there's a solution, right? So now they have a before and after state. They become solution aware. Now that they realize that, well, I don't have to live with this forever, it can be fixed, then they want to say, well, let's do some research, right? I want to know, is it safe? Well, does it actually work? Are those results possible? Can I afford it, right? So then they go into the online, so they go from pain point to awareness to then suddenly now they're ready to start digging into the research and finding what they want to do. Once they find out, usually they take that path, they find out what solutions are possible. And then there's two forms of comparison that then they want to start to look at. They move past the research, they identify the possible solutions. Now they want to compare solutions, right? So if I want to do breast augmentation, for example, what are my options? What kind of implants can I get? What kind of sizes? What kind of surgery can I do? There's different kinds. They all have different pros and cons as to what they want to do, and there's a lot of variables in that. So then they usually narrow down the solution that they want, and then they move into doctor comparison. Which doctors provide the solutions I'm looking for? And then of the doctors that do provide that solution, which one is my best option, right? Which doctor do I want to do business with? And that's a very, for us, what we do is we address this with content marketing. Content marketing allows us to provide valuable information along this research continuum as they're going online to do and look up what possible solutions exist. And then what that eventually does, like breadcrumbs, it will lead them along that path. So if you're the practice that gave them the information about the solution, and then you gave them information about what possible different solutions they can obtain, and then you provide them the information about what it's likely to cost or how safe it is and how effective it is, and they eventually will come back. That'll lead them to your site, and hopefully they're going to see your before and after gallery. They're going to find out that it actually works, and then that's when the UX and the UI optimization strategy comes into play with your website, so that we can actually convert them when they get to this website. Because our goal in every situation with marketing is one thing. We need to provide consults. We need to book consults. Lead generation is the most important thing you can do. You can be #1 on Google and generate 0 leads, and it doesn't matter, right? You can do a lot of things, but if you're not producing leads, that's the ultimate goal. The next thing we do is we move into, once they've gone through the comparison stage, they've seen the website, they've gotten the information they're looking to do, they're ready to go. They're ready to make the decision to move forward. So that's when we convert them to contact with you. At this point, you go ahead and book the consult, and most of you do a fantastic job. Once they do get into the practice, when you sit down with them, you're able to talk them through the scary parts. You're able to help them see the upside. And then we go into what's called a retention phase, right? So you have acquire traffic. You have to convert them into appointments. Then once you go post-op and provide the solution for them, they go into what's called an advocacy stage. There's 2 types of retention marketing that we look at: vertical and horizontal. Horizontal marketing means that's repeat purchase. That can include cross-sells. They come in for 1 procedure. Now they're looking to get in a 2nd procedure that they now found out that you offer after being at the practice. The horizontal marketing is, once they hit the advocacy stage, they're so excited. I mean, I imagine most of you have had patients in the past that after they've received your treatment or corrective procedure or augmentation, that they are pumped. They want to tell the world about it, right? I mean, I know that I've met quite a few who have been so excited about the results they've had, they wanted to share that. The horizontal marketing is trying to capture their sphere of influence. So when they're telling that story about, this is where I was before, this is how I felt, I went and met with Dr. Smith, got completely fixed up. This is what I look like now. This is how I feel. You should do it too. So we want to bring them into that advocacy stage and give them a platform and an opportunity to refer future business to you, to their friends, family, and coworkers. And that's really, in a nutshell, when we go from acquisition to conversion and then retention, that's what we're looking at. We want to, anybody who does business with you, the next time they need something done, we want them to come back to you. And if they're going to come and do work with you and they've had such a good experience, we want them to tell the world about you and then send them back to you as well. You'll find out that eventually that's going to lead to your comparison page. And we'll talk more about this towards the end of the presentation, but the reviews you have online are going to play a big critical role in conversion there. So we've got our website.
Let's jump right in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's talk about you know, so now we went through the theory and the stages. Let's talk about what makes websites convert. How about that? Let's give them some things that they can look at their website and do a little analysis on.
Absolutely. Okay. Header with easy to find contact information. This is really important. A lot of times we call it a geographic identifier. If they're looking online and they see an article that you've posted, and it so happens in keywords to match what they're looking for, right? They want to know that it's something that they can obtain from their own local market. So having your contact information and your address not only provides a geographical identifier, letting them know it's relevant to them in their area, but it's a fast and easy way for them to get in contact with you. Because usually what happens when they come to a website, there's something that they're looking for. They're looking for some information, they're looking for research, they're looking for contact. And we always have to make that super easy for them to find, so we always make sure that that's on the very front page. The other thing we're looking at, demonstrate results clearly piques interest, right? So there's 2 types of doubt that you'll face. There's doubt in themselves, there's doubt in the actual procedure itself. Okay, so a lot of times we'll see is, no way that works. I'm sure that sounds great. You got some fancy language and you happen to find the one model in the before and after that looked different and took a great photo. No way that actually works. Well, the before and after gallery is literally the most important element on your webpage. That's your highest converting. No one can tell a story better than a photo. Fair enough? So yep, what we find is, what's that?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're going to cover that in more depth later.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the before and after gallery is super, super important. And we're going to go, like I said, into a lot more depth. Why don't you tell them a little bit about calls to action?
Oh, the CTAs. If you ever hear a marketing person use the word CTA, they're referring to call to action. Every page should have one objective, right? What in this case, the objective is, as you can tell, it's right in the center, schedule my consult. That's our objective there. So when we do a call to action, if you provide information or content, you need to lead them towards the next step which is our ultimate objective, is booking a consult, right? So it's specific to aesthetics here, you want to make sure that you have, and it has to be above the fold. So if you haven't heard of that concept yet, above the fold means that when you first load that web page, the very first screen that loads, including the header and everything that you see before you have to scroll down, that's considered above the fold. Just like it relates back to newspapers, that's where the term comes from. So if you're on the front page of a newspaper and it's folded in half, what got the most visibility on the front headlines was above the fold. When you read that, so you had to unpack the paper to see the rest of it. On websites, you have to scroll down. We also need to make sure that the mobile menu system is very convenient to use. We're finding that traffic now is exponentially going towards mobile browsing. So, and that's not only just important from a user experience for conversion, it's also extremely important because of SEO rankings. Google now, their algorithms and their robots have the ability to go to your website and know whether or not you have a good user experience on mobile. If you do not, then they're going to penalize you. One thing that's really cool about this gallery, and I'll let Matt tell you a little more about how he came up with this and what we did to commission. We have probably the best photo gallery. If not, I'm just going to say it, maybe I'm a little biased, but we have the best photo gallery plugin in the industry for aesthetics. And one of the things that makes our mobile gallery so effective is it does look so fantastic on mobile. So you can be on your small phone and still get the full experience when you're looking on there. One of the other things that we've developed is what's called a sticky navigation. We have found a 700% increase in leads measured from the call and email forms because of this sticky navigation. And what this does is when you're on your mobile and you're scrolling up and down on the site, typically, like I mentioned before, the consumer, the patient, is looking for something to be able to for them to take the next action, right, or the next step. Having that at the very bottom, what it does is when you're scrolling, it doesn't go anywhere. It always stays put no matter what page you're on or where you're at on that page. It's super helpful, and it applies UX principle, which is user experience, that allows instant contact with your email, phone number, photo gallery, location, so they can quickly get the most pertinent information that we've already identified that they need to find to convert. Which leads us back to our overall strategy for growth. These three things have to occur for you to grow. You have to be able to acquire new patient opportunities. You need to be able to convert them when they show up. And then once they've done business with you, you need to retain them in the future so that they're not going to a competitor down the road when they need to work that again. How much traffic are you currently getting? That's such an important element is analyzing what kind of traffic you have. If you can have the best website in the world, like I said before, and you can be #1 on Google, but if they're not producing quality leads, then it doesn't do you any good. And there's really two types of acquisition. You have paid and organic. Paid traffic is through you hear the word or term PPC, that's pay-per-click. That's going to be your Google ads, Facebook ads, things like that. You're paying for traffic from sources that match your target demographic. The organic is long-term. Organic is your ideal solution, right? In a perfect world, you'd actually do both. Because what you're ultimately looking for is return on investment. If I put $1 in and I can get $1.50 out, how much money would you invest? As much as you got, right? Because if you put $1 million in, you get $1.5 million, and that scales up infinitely. So one of our strategies through acquisition is making sure that we're using our blogging and content development strategies in a way that Google loves so that they populate us high in the rankings. Okay, and that's through your organic strategy. That's your content marketing. You're hearing that quite a bit. Consumers provide value first. That'll lead consumers to the site. Then you've got your traffic, and then it's time to convert them. Digital conversion is a big, huge element as well. So you can have 1 million users come to your website, but if not one person makes contact with you for a consult, it's all for naught. Fair enough? So in this case here, this is where your research is really going to play heavy. Your pain point solution, procedure, and comparisons are going to be driven around your conversion strategy. So you want to not only have information, articles about any of those points, pain points or solutions, the procedures, comparisons, but you need to have calls to actions built into them. They need to be SEO driven. You need to take them further down that purchase continuum, all the way from unaware to aware to now familiar. Now they become a hot lead. Now that's when the conversion really happens digitally, and that's the first conversion. the first conversion digitally happens when they make up the appointment, and then obviously your second point of conversion is when they actually make it to the consult, and then you get to actually talk to them about the procedure itself. Number one marketing item, you must start now. This is a big deal, and you're going to find the full value of this here in just a moment. But you're going to find that reviews are going to be the next reviews, and next to your online before and after photo galleries are going to be the best salesperson you can ever have. Having 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 online reviews at 5 stars telling their story of why they chose to work with you is paramount. Paramount. We have a really cool service that we provide for our practice partners called Magic Rating. We'll get into a little more detail about that later, but that we can automate that entire process for you. One of the really cool things, I'm going to go off script here for just a second from the slide, but Real Self, they did a massive survey. They found that there is no, I mean, I can't remember the exact stats. Matt, you may have the stats. You can back me up on this, but they did a massive survey to try and understand what is the perfect number of reviews, right?
And actually, a lot of it has to do with the algorithm on the site. So we were talking with Tom Seary, the CEO of Real Self, and he told us that if you have 70 or more reviews on Real Self, your profile received 700% more profile views than those that didn't have 70 reviews. So with that, with that knowledge, you can understand how organically it makes a lot more sense to focus on getting a lot of reviews than it even does to spend a lot of money on their spotlights for your marketing.
Absolutely. And one of the questions he was asking or trying to find was, what's that magic number? How many reviews do I need before it stops being effective, right, or more effective? You're at 70, 100% at 70 plus reviews. What's that number where it stops adding to the top line? And here's the most astounding measurement that we found was that there is no diminishing return. One of the things we promised you when you signed up for this webinar was we're going to tell you the one marketing strategy that doesn't have a diminishing return on the actual conversion and marketing efforts. It's online reviews. He found that even though you get a 700% at 70 plus reviews, if you had 170, you would still see exponential impact in your conversion and lead traffic. It's incredible reviews to do. So if you don't have a solid strategy in place right now to drive reviews, I highly, 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 highly recommend that you do. I'm going to turn this over to Matt for a minute. Let him walk through some of what we've done with Magic Rating and how that review process, we've kind of made it simple for you to do, and it's fast and it's easy.
Absolutely. So the most important thing to understand when it comes to generating patient reviews is to have a system in place. And some practices have CEOs to make this happen, but think about this as just like you would do when you're doing a procedure. You have your protocols in place and you do the same thing every time, and you do that same thing every time so you can get the same results for your patient every time you do that procedure. Now, when it comes down to generating positive reviews, you have to ask your patients. And typically we recommend that the provider does this. And there's a couple of ways you can do this, and I'm going to go into how we do it with our software, but we also like to just kind of give you an overview. And the way that it comes down to, you ask your patients, you have a process for following up with them, and you be clear with where you'd like reviews. And right now you're either saying, okay, you're right, I need to get this started today, or you already tried this and it didn't work and it was too much of a pain. So, oh, there we go. So these 5-star reviews are useless unless they're being published in a place where potential patients are doing the research. So Yelp is super important. Google reviews, very, very important, especially for search engine rankings. Real Self is a great place to have reviews, and Facebook as well. So we developed a solution to this problem because many of our practices were having trouble getting these online reviews, even though they knew how important they were. So we developed a software to help guide our potential patients through this this, or existing patients, sorry, through this process. What it does is it allows you to ask for feedback privately, and it does this either through a computer in your office or an email that's sent to them post-procedure. And it does a survey where it asks one question and asks you to rate your experience from 0 to 10. And that way we can segment your patients that are very, very happy and the ones that maybe need some more attention. And it basically does a segmentation for that. And then basically we send different messages to those people. So anyone who gives you an 8, 9, or 10 is going to get sent an email asking for a review, and anybody with a 7 or below is going to be allowed to be followed up by your practice. And we're able to track all that through our software. Here's an example of how kiosk mode works, and basically, you can do this on an iPad or a Chromebook, and basically that's just in your office, or you can do an email, and finally it follows up with your patient. And we can get into the nitty-gritty details on this later, but we obviously don't have very much time to go through it today. Here's an example of kiosk mode being used in one of our practices in Orange County. And you can see it's just a one-question survey just sitting there at the checkout counter. So here, like I was saying, here's how the segmentation works. And the benefits of this are pretty clear. You avoid negative reviews. You're going to get more positive reviews. We're going to capture testimonials. So let's say that your patient just leaves you some feedback. Well, you've already captured that, and you can use that as a testimonial on your website. And our software is fully HIPAA compliant, so it strips out the patient information that you don't want published, and really it's a fully secured system. It also is fully automated, and the best part is you can also get SEO results off this. So this is called Schema, and our software has a widget built in that you can embed onto your website to help get Schema embedded onto your website pages. And in this example, it's showing 5 stars out of 160 reviews for one of our practices. Now, if you were to see, be doing your research in Google, and you saw this pop up, you're more apt to click on the one that you can see already has positive social feedback on it than you were to go to another potential practice. And it all comes down to using our industry software. Clay, do you want to kind of go over this with Magic Rating?
Yeah, so just real quick, and also just to tag on to kind of what Matt's talking about, that if I were to sum it up just briefly into the most powerful elements of what online reviews do for you, whether it's our software or another software, is first off, people make purchasing decisions based on feedback. It's called third-party credibility. You could talk about how amazing you are all day, and I would believe you. If somebody I know, like, and trust, or someone that I respect says that you're amazing, that will always hold more weight than you saying it yourself. That's what online reviews do for you, which is so powerful. And the thing that I really, really like, I've been in business development for years now, and customer experience is a big passion for me. Driving the customer experience, the fact that you have an ability to reach people that aren't 100% satisfied, that would otherwise not probably have told you, and being able to communicate with them, resolve the issue, and show that you genuinely care and you want their business in the future, that's as strong as conversion of 5-star reviews and what that does to your SEO and all the lead generation that reviews do for you. The customer service element is, to me, probably as powerful as the actual review, what that does for your patient lead generation as well. One thing we wanted to go ahead and gift everybody on the call today, and even if you're seeing this in a replay later, is that we are going to offer everyone a free extended trial to magicrating.com. We want you to try it out. This isn't a sales pitch. You're not obligated to pay us a cent. We literally we believe in this so much, and we really appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone here from the MedResults Network, which, by the way, is an amazing program. We are 100% in love with everything that Jamie's done and what they've built over the years. We're excited to be able to support this going forward. But what we're going to do is an extended 90-day program, so that, and you'll find, within the first month, if done correctly, you'll find instant results, a huge lift in your 5-star ratings online immediately. That's going to drive patient conversion as well as SEO and lead generation and lead people back to your site. But we wanted to do that for you as a way of saying thank you for the time that you've spent with us today, and a thank you to MedResults for allowing us to be here and be a part of this phone call with such a great network of people. So that's our gift to you. To do that, we'll just ask that you go ahead and get in contact with me, or you can submit a request through the Med Network channels, and either Jamie can get that back to me indirectly, or you can contact me directly. I think my information, you've got my slide here in just a moment. Well, we'll tap into that in just a second. We'll real quickly talk through this photo gallery that's also pretty unique. But I want to let you guys know that you do get 90 days of this. You will get results in that 90 days. Matter of fact, you'll get results in your first 30 days. And like I said, we don't want a penny from it. And if you decide you want to move forward after that, that's your option. We're not here to sell anything. We just wanted to do that as a gift for you guys. I'll turn it back to Matt so he can talk to you a little bit about a proprietary photo gallery that I mentioned earlier in the webinar that we are really proud of. So I'll turn that over to you, Matt.
Okay, and thank you so much, Clay. So we've kind of covered the biggest parts of what we're here to teach you, but we have two more things that are really pertinent to your practice, and it has to do with using before and after treatments to photos to sell treatments. And we do this with our gallery software. And what a gallery software does is it helps you to organize your photos in a way that your patients can find a before and after photo that makes sense for them and for what they're looking for with a procedure. What we did was we put together and we built a software with the guidance of plastic surgeons, dermatologists, and medical spas, so that we knew exactly what we needed to accomplish with this gallery. I'm not big on having to develop my own software because it costs a lot of money, but I couldn't find anything that could accomplish what I needed it to do, and so we developed the software specifically for aesthetic practices to meet everything that we needed to accomplish. So we really wanted it because practices were asking us, hey, I want to be able to add my own before and after photos, so we made it easy to use. We made it organized, so one of the things that makes aesthetic practice websites challenging to build is that when you are trying to build a before and after gallery, you need to organize by, category, whether that be body, breast, face, skin, surgical, non-surgical, however you'd like to organize it, and then you have your procedures, and then you have cases under all those. So if you don't have the right taxonomy in place, your gallery is not optimized correctly, and it's hard to navigate. We also added in case filtering technology so that you can filter through your cases, and you can filter by whatever, variables you'd like to put in place. So gender, age, if you're talking about breast augmentation, you could do implant, brand, size, shape, texture, no texture. With your breast aug patients, you could have, pregnancy, no pregnancy. You could talk about, there's so many different variables when it comes to surgery and even non-surgical things that people are really looking to relate to someone. That way they know that the results are going to work for their body type, etc.
Matt,
here are the gallery.
Go ahead. Hey, real quick, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Before you move off of that, I want to point out one really important fact. And when it comes to the before and after gallery and why that filter is so important, not only does organizing it make a lot of sense logically, it is an emotional driver. I mentioned before there's two types of doubt you'll face with a patient, a prospective patient. They either don't believe in the procedure, which a before and after gallery kind of kills that doubt, right? So you can see several case studies of where here's what they look like before, here's what they look like after. Obviously the procedure works. Well, the second doubt you're going to face is I'm sure that it works, but it won't work for me. And I'm sure many of you on the call now have seen this in the past or talked to someone who has said this to you. Yeah, well, I'm sure it does work, but I'm either too tall or I'm too short or I'm too thin or I'm too heavy or my coloration isn't this or that. Or they find a million different reasons why they feel like it will work, but not for them. When you have a filterable gallery like this, and I always use my wife as an example. I'm sure she's going to love the fact that I'm going to announce this on this call here. But, you know, we've had 3 kids, right? If I were to show her, if she was considering an augmentation, and I were to show her before and after for someone who has never had children, she would laugh at me. If I were to show her someone who's had 1 child, she would still laugh at me. But to be able to find someone that looks like her in her age range that have had 3 children, and then to see the before and afters of that case study, that is going to hold powerful weight. And that's what drives conversion from the before and after gallery pages. That's why we had to design this. I say we had to. I mean, no one made us, but for the industry to meet the need that we, especially based on the amount of traffic that the before and after gallery page receives, to get ultimate conversion, this filterable system is what's going to drive the results. And I'm really proud of it. So anyway, tangent over. Back to you, Matt.
Okay, well, we're going to kind of wrap this up, but the important thing is that we've thought through everything, and obviously if you'd like to learn more about it, we're happy to walk you through. But the gallery software, I mean, we've literally done an entire webinar just on before and after galleries, and so while I'd like to go into a lot of depth on it, you know, we're happy to do that separately. And the great thing about the gallery is just that basically the gallery is the second most popular section on your website besides your homepage. In this example, it's actually generating over 34% of page views on the website. And so if you don't have a good gallery in your website and it's not easy to use, you're probably not getting as many patients off of your website as you deserve. If you'd like to learn more about the gallery, you can go to turbomedapps.com, or you can give Clay a call, and he's happy to walk you through it as well. But there's plenty of information, and you can see some live examples if you go to turbomedapps.com. The final portion of this is retention, and I know that Clay can talk for days about how important, you know, retention is, and making sure your patients are coming back to you and not going to another practice. But the bottom line with retention is to retain is to stay top of mind. And one of the best ways to do this is through mechanisms like social media, online reviews where people are talking about their experience with your practice, and email marketing. We're really gonna, you know, spend a little bit of time just focusing on the email marketing portion of it. We've talked about reviews already, and you know, social media, like we mentioned earlier, I wrote a whole book on it. And you're going to get a copy of that. So I'd recommend you just read the book if you'd like to learn some of our strategies behind social media and what kind of things that you need to be doing on that end. But this is literally the last piece to the puzzle here when it comes to retention, and it comes down to just doing your email marketing correctly. And there's some easy things, and this slide really covers what you need to do when you're doing your email marketing in order to get the best results. So I'm going to run through this quickly, and then I'm going to hand it back over to Clay. So at the very top of your email, and when you're using any email marketing software like iContact, Constant Contact, MailChimp, they're all great. These days, there's not a huge difference between any of them. So whatever you're using, as long as you're using an email marketing software, it's probably good. But at the very top of the email, it usually allows you to put a little text in there. And this is important, so you know, when your patient is reading, scrolling through their emails on their phone or on their desktop computer, they get a little preview of what's inside the email. And that text at the top is really, that's the first step, right? So that's what they're going to see. Otherwise, if you start with an image, it's usually going to use like the file name. So you might see img14.png, which tells the patient nothing. So really do a quick summary, and then, you know, have a picture or a logo of the brand if that's what you're promoting, that having to do with what the email is about. Be clear with the issue that you're trying to solve. So a good example of this would be like any of the brand names. If your patient has never heard of that brand name, or they've never gotten that procedure done before, then you need to be clear with what the procedure solves, you know, what the problem is that is solving there. So are your lashes thinning over time? And then, you can give the details of your offer, have a clear call to action. It doesn't necessarily need to be buy this deal. I think it's just as effective to have your patients reply to the email. And then if you can put before and after photos in the email blast, that's great. And at the very bottom, make sure that you have your contact information. And Clay, do you want to add anything about email marketing, or do we just kind of want to leave it at that?
Yeah, email marketing, there's an art and science to it to get highly effective open rates and click-through rates. There's a lot of measurables you want to go into. And a lot of times what we don't want to see is an email that looks like a coupon. There needs to be something that it's entertaining, and all this, the bullet points you see in front of you, it's textbook. It really drives into the relevant information. It's quick and easy to digest, and it holds, again, relevance to the consumer that will drive them to action, and that's really important. So, and then we'll move in real quick to the strategic partnering. This is where an agency like ourselves come in. You didn't go to school all those years and perfect your craft to be a digital marketer. It's hard sometimes when you're running a business to let go of certain elements, because most of us are passionate about what we do, and we want to make sure we deliver optimum results and present ourselves in the best light, especially when it comes to branding. There's some things that we see often that you may be able to do on your own. You can run your social media. Email marketing, especially if it's coming directly from you with simple campaigns without automation or if-then statements, then email marketing can be a big part of that. Now, you can write your own copy. Many of us went to school, again, a long time and are used to long white papers and thesis and scientific articles. Those are all great, but at the same time, what we constantly run into is a challenge to do that much writing and content, and especially on the consistent basis that it's needing to be pumped out, and run your practice and be the top physician or surgeon in your practice at the same time, which usually leads to outsourcing. Again, where an agency like ourselves would come in, but what we tend to see is fragmented marketing, when really you need beginning to end marketing strategies. Fragmented marketing means that you go and hire one person who does SEO, and then this other person built the website, and this other person does some social media for you. This other person may run your constant contact email, or and what you'll find is that the reason that Apple was so successful is they control both the hardware and the software. I always use this example. Any software is written to spec to work perfectly on the hardware it's intended to run on. And the reason that it is so optimal is because they already know what's required for both sides, both digital software side as well as physical hardware side. In marketing, it's the very same thing. When you have a marketing campaign you're launching out and your goal is to drive breast dogs, your SEO, your Facebook, social media, your brand, your video marketing, your analytics, all of your copyright, your emails, all that they should all reflect and feel like they're part of the same system, same marketing campaign. They should all be pointing to the same objective with the same call to action, driving the same content home. When you have fragmented marketing, you tend to have drop-off because those different parties aren't communicating together. There's a much higher chance of errors. There's a much higher disconnect with the branding messaging and the brand voice that you're projecting. So it's really important to have a full, from beginning to end, marketing strategy that all complement each other, where SEO knows what social media is doing, and the copy that you're writing is driven to a website that already knows what to expect with inbound traffic. And the ad management is going to lead correctly to the right pages and flow successfully and tie in to the optimization of your SEO, so that you're not having duplication or risk any errors that will penalize you with Google. And most of us want to save money, and obviously money is a big deal, and it's not that everything has to be expensive to do it right. I don't want to paint that illusion at all, but what we usually see is doctors usually start with, I can do it myself, right? I'm good at it, I feel natural at it, I feel like I got an artistic eye, or I got a good writing mindset, and I can drive it. And you have a little bit of success in the beginning, but then you get busier. Well, then you're too busy to handle it yourself, or it becomes overwhelming, or you find that you're not staying in the pattern and consistently producing enough content. So then suddenly you say, well, I need some help, so I'm going to hire somebody. I'd rather trust hiring someone to work for me than to go and hire someone that I don't know to go do it for me, right? So then you bring someone in, and then again, you don't want to pay them, $60, $70, $80,000 a year to market for you. So then you bring in someone for, usually a lot of times I'll see practice managers or head assistants will come in, and they'll be internally expected to then start working on social media or doing email marketing. thinking that it's pretty simple and then you just got to get it out there and they'll drive it in, and then they don't produce the results that you want. So if you don't have someone hired, dedicated, or you share a resource with someone who already exists, then you get frustrated. You say, well, okay, we need to find someone who's professional that does this for a living. So the natural thing to do then is reach out to your network. Who in town does this, right? Who does marketing here that I can go and meet with and talk to about doing marketing? Here's the problem with that. You have general practitioners in marketing. They market for multiple industry types. Again, I said at the very beginning of this webinar that aesthetics is probably one of the most unique and most difficult industries to market for, period, on the planet. Most companies, they would look for virality. How can I put something online and millions of people see it and it drives tons of business to my front doors? Well, in aesthetics especially, that isn't always the case. It's a more private matter. A lot of times when someone's doing an expensive procedure, they may be excited to tell close friends and family in private about it, but they don't want to always put their business out on social media, showing what amazing results they got so that it does go viral and drive attention back, right? So there's a big learning curve when it comes to marketing the aesthetic industry and knowing what channels do work and how do you make sure that you do stay HIPAA compliant, and how do you make sure that you are not offending the social media, because a lot of the social media platforms, they have a lot of rules against what would be effective in helping us market. So knowing what all that looks like and being able to safely and successfully navigate those leads back to your practice through digital means takes a lot of work. It took us 8-9 years to get to where we are today, and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of learning to be able to do it. And in this case here, a local marketing company won't have that experience or knowledge to be able to help you at the full optimal level that you've got. So then you pivot away from that and say, well, now I need someone who's specialized in aesthetic marketing, that knows what they're doing and has a reputation. Obviously, you could just skip that whole step like this awesome drawing says and just go from the start to us and then not have the learning curve or the headache along the way. It's a lot less expensive that way too. We've got tons of results. They speak for themselves. If Dr. Song, which we're so proud of, he came out of the gate swinging. With starting with us in 2013 to move into 2017, and what he was doing on his own before versus what he's receiving today, he's increased organic web traffic by 793%. Just imagine what that would feel like to be able to say you've got that much more. I mean, if you think about how much traffic you're getting today, and up that by 793%. And what's more
Clay, important
too?
I think I'd like to point out that the results for Dr. Song are unique in that, and by the way, Dr. Song is a MedResults Network member. He really came out. He was at the very beginning of his practice, so that's why his results are so dramatic like this. But he went from doing like about 2 surgeries a month when we first started with him to doing well over 300 last year. And these results don't just apply to plastic surgeons like Kyle. And Dr. Song is he's a good-looking dude too. But let me show you another example of Dr. Robert Langdon. He's a dermatologist out of Langford, Connecticut, and his results. He was one of those cases that Clay was talking about when he was talking about fragmented marketing. We had 70% increase, but he was already an established practice. But the really big thing is the percentage of total increase in web leads and organic web leads that we were able to accomplish for him by getting rid of that fragmentation problem. And I think that this is probably where a lot of practices are, where they have, once they are growing to the point where they have a bunch of different people they've hired and nothing is really working well. A good example of this is when you put together a treatment plan for a patient and you tell them, we're going to do this much Botox, this much Juvederm, these laser treatments, et cetera, and then they take your treatment plan and they go to a bunch of different people that they find on Groupon, and they come back to you to fix it. And they look better than when they first came in, but that if you had done all the work on them that you recommended, that they would have had a much better outcome. And fragmentation is a real issue in many different parts of life, not just your marketing. But here's another example of a medical spa, and this is literally our last example here, where Dr. Mangione in Wisconsin was able to get some really great results. especially when it comes to conversion, because although her organic web traffic didn't increase a whole lot, the amount of web leads that we were able to generate by putting together a more comprehensive plan and using our conversion techniques, she was able to get a significant increase in total web leads as a result of that. Clay, do you want to kind of let people know how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, so thank you for your time today on this call. Hopefully there's something of value that you're able to receive and maybe even implement. If you are at a point now where you feel like, I do need to bring in the big guns, I'm ready to grow. My growth goals are heavy and I need some help to do it. We're happy to help, even if it's just advice on which way to go or what to do. You don't have to buy anything from us. We're not going to pitch you any sales things or anything like that. We just want to be a resource, especially being part of the MedResults Network. But use this as a sounding board. My personal email is there, Clayton@turbomedicalmarketing.com. You can call or you can text me at the number that you see there, 949-356-6296. I would love to help. I mean, that's my passion. There's nothing gets me more excited than seeing business growth, especially when we have someone coming from the network that we're part of. I mean, we're a big family. We all want to succeed. Let me see how I can help you, and I'd be happy to do it, even if it's just a website audit, if you need help getting your online review automation software set up, or if you just want to pick my brain on some strategies on what you think you should do or what's not working or how to change directions. I'm here for you. Please let me know how I can help.
Great.
Matt,
well,
I'll turn that back over to you. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt and Clay, I just want to thank you all so much for your presentation. And of course, to our attendees, I know we ran a little bit over time today, so I really appreciate you all sticking with us for the entire presentation. Matt and Clay had a wealth of information, which I know is a lot to digest. So if you'd like a copy of the presentation or information about Turbo Med apps or Magic Rating or anything else that was discussed today, certainly reach out to Clay. You can let me know in the survey that's going to pop up or email me directly. As Clay said, you'll all have access to a free trial of Magic Ratings, and you're going to get a copy of Matt's book following the presentation. So keep in mind, you can do that through our survey. Make sure to put your contact information in there so we know where to send it. And once again, thank you to our Turbo team. We love working with you guys, and certainly thank you to our members. We hope to see you at our next webinar presentation. Take care and have a great rest of your day.